Uche, welcome to TechTrends.
Thank you, CFA.
Are you happy with development in the startup ecosystem today?
I would say yes and no. Yes, because it's a great stuff. At least by any stretch, we have something closer home that people can look up to, and people are already looking up to a lot of the great stories coming out of the startup ecosystem generally. But no, because we're missing the opportunity to latch on to the startup phenomenon and change the course of our country's destiny, especially because getting young people to be able to go out and build solutions and build a business out of those solutions. So in that sense, no. No, because it's not spreading, it's not going round. Like to an extent, like the mistake I think we also made with oil, we're also being very parochial with the startup phenomenon. So in that sense, no. But generally, I think it's yes, and I want to stay positive.
For those of you outside Lagos and Abuja, do you sometimes feel left out?
It's not sometimes, it is always. I mean, up until, it's taking a lot of agitation for some things to start happening, even from the government angle, because I consider the government to be, the government is supposed to be like an enabler, right? But in the past, you had a situation where the government was playing and thinking like business people. It's supposed to be the reverse. Government enables. So they look at places where there are certain comparative advantages, and then they try to go to other places to ignite certain things so that to create opportunities generally, right? So, for instance, it just recently that we had the first ever Startup Friday in anywhere close to the South, and Southeast, and that was in Uyo. And kudos to the present, the DG of NIDA, and then the director of OIIE. So we've had that, and I think they're beginning to get it. So it's beginning to spread around the regions. I'm sure, I think that for the Southeast is coming up soon. So it's beginning to spread around the regions. And so I think it's a good thing. But the private sector is not, we can't say we're there yet. A lot still needs to be done. So we're working on it because we understand they are business people and there are a lot more things they get to consider.
What's your opinion about Yabacorn as a concept?
I think Yabacorn is a great, concept. Trying to create a model of a Silicon Valley that we know. Create something that is home, right? So I think it's a great concept. I also have my reservations about the spread. I have my reservation about the size. When you talk about Silicon Valley, you know the size of Silicon Valley. The state, California alone, you know the size of that state. Yaba as a place, it's a very tiny enclave. It's a very tiny place. I mean, it can't even accommodate some of the big startups that started there. That's why some of them are leaving, and Dela has left Yaba, right? And a lot more startups are growing up to leave Yaba. If you say it's the whole of Lagos, it will make a lot more sense to me. But it's great at the end of the day. It's great that we have somebody even thinking that we need to create something that people can identify with and latch on with. I think that other people in other places, which is what is already happening, should be able to also get up and create things, that people in their own places can latch onto.
For folks like you who do this selfless work of advocacy, is it not affecting your primary business?
Of course it is, right? In fact, I've come to the point where I'm almost asking my guys to run the other things, because I mean, this is becoming like something we need to do more of. So yes, it's hurting my primary business, but I mean, somebody has to do it. Unlike some other guys in Lagos, we didn't start up this thing as a primary business, okay? So it was something that we started doing out of necessity, right? So now we're not asking ourselves, I mean, okay, if we've come this far, maybe we should just focus on this. Let other people run the other things. So essentially, yes, it's hurting our business, but we don't have a choice.
Finally, funding seems to be a major challenge. How do we bridge the funding gap?
Two things basically come to my mind. The first is we need to encourage more locals to invest in local startups. It is for this reason that we have worked and partnered with a lot of people, and as I speak to you, we've started an angel network focused just in the mode of the Lagos Angel Network. Of course, partnering with the Lagos Angel Network and African Business Angel Network, we've started an angel network for the South and the Southeast, with the first set of people who have come together and they've told themselves, we want to be able to do this. Now, the next thing is that such people would need to be encouraged. Such people would need to be supported, because angel investing is more or less patient capital. There are 1,001 things they can put their money into that will yield results faster for them. However, not doing the angel investing, for me, it's like being penny wise, pound foolish. Because what you're doing is you're building castles in the air. You're investing in a lot of things that will give you money, but you're neglecting the ones that would engage the young people, especially, that if they are engaged, they will have less time for vices, and as such, your other investments will be safe. So ideally, they tell you in angel investing that it's not something you want to put all of your money in. You put like 10 to 20% of your money, of your investment budget, to investing in startups, right? So I think that the government may need to step in and create some policies that will encourage people to become angel investors. And one of my favorite policies I've been advocating for is that there's a tax code that allows corporates to get back their CSR through tax rebate. So when the corporates do CSR, they get it back, they get something back through tax rebate. I think that we should be able to innovate around that and use that same code to get both corporates and individuals to invest in startups. If we do that, we'll be unlocking a lot of opportunities, employment opportunities for the young ones, and then we'll be making Nigeria far more safer than it is right now, because we'll be engaging a lot of people.
Which you think will be the take today?
Thank you very much, CFC.
That was Uche Aniche, founder Startup South, who firmly believes that there are better days ahead for the startup ecosystem. Now, according to a report by WeTracker Research, tech and innovative companies across the continent of Africa received funding of over $700 million US. That's a jump of 300% from 2017. Now, that's a great news for the African continent. In the case of Nigeria, it is both good and not so good news. The good news is that Nigeria is now the #1 startup investment destination in Africa, beating both South Africa and Kenya. The not so good news is that our local investors are not awake to what is ahead, and so only foreign investors are placing their bet on the future of Nigerian startup, who in most cases have to first become foreign companies before raising whatever funds they need. Now that means a lot, if not for today and the future, when these startups must have become successful. It's a wrap on this edition of the show, but the conversation continues online. Please join us on social media. Remember, you can watch these and the entire show on the channel's TV YouTube account or by checking out cfablog.ng. For Tech Trends, I'm Chukwemeka Agbata.